we just shared with you our disturbance at the people that have been celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination. There is nothing normal about this or the scale of this. It is so unbelievable that I myself initially thought it may be AI until I started to get real stories from people that I know, which confirms the worst. Some people inside our society are very, very sick and dangerous, actually. We've seen some on the left claiming conservatives are hypocrites for reporting people who've celebrated Charlie's assassination on social media to their employers. Nothing could be further from the truth. It is one thing to allow people to have their opinions and voice them. That should remain a constitutionally God-given protected right. But society will and should respond with societal consequences to reprehensible behavior, especially if it comes from people in positions of authority. So let us read you this article from the Gateway Pundit about how Texas is responding to this, and then we'll give you our thoughts. It says, over 100 radical leftist teachers in Texas will have their certificates suspended and face permanent ban from public schools after celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination and calling for more violence. Governor Greg Abbott announced on Sunday that the Texas Education Agency, or TEA, has begun investigations into teachers who cheered Kirk's murder and even incited additional violence online. Abbott confirmed that these educators will not only have their teaching certifications suspended, but will also be permanently barred from working in Texas public schools. In a strongly worded letter to superintendents, TEA Commissioner Mike Morath condemned the educators' despicable behaviour, noting that such conduct may constitute violations of the educators' code of ethics. He confirmed that all documented cases have been referred to TEA's Educator Investigations Division. The letter reads, quote, TEA has been made aware of some Texas public school educators that have posted and or shared reprehensible and inappropriate content on social media related to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. These educators' comments do not reflect the vast majority of Texas teachers who are dedicated practitioners that work diligently to serve the more than 5.5 million impressionable young minds in our classrooms. In response to such posts, I am referring all documentation of educators that have proliferated such vile content to TEA's Educator Investigations Division. Such posts could constitute a violation of the educator's code of ethics, and each instance will be thoroughly reviewed to determine whether sanctionable conduct has occurred, and staff will investigate accordingly. While the exercise of free speech is a fundamental right we are all blessed to share, it does not give carte blanche authority to celebrate or sow violence against those that share differing beliefs and perspectives. Mr. Kirk was a father and a husband, and tragically, his children no longer have their father, and his wife no longer has her spouse. As a father and husband myself, and as someone devoted to the education of children, it is heartbreaking. If you were made aware of additional instances of inappropriate content being shared, it should be reported to the agency through TEA's misconduct reporting portal. Governor Abbott doubled down on Morath's letter, posting on X that Texas will not tolerate educators who call for or incite violence. According to Texan News, the TEA has reportedly received roughly 180 complaints in response to the letter it circulated last week, requesting reports of reprehensible content or social media posts shared by educators following the assassination of Charlie Kirk. It goes on to say, Governor Abbott announced on Monday on X, the Texas Education Agency is investigating Texas teachers whose actions called for or incite violence following the Charlie Kirk assassination. Those educators, more than 100, will have their teacher certification suspended and be ineligible to teach in a Texas public school. The argument the left is making is that this is the same as the outrage the right has, as when the left calls for someone to be fired because that person doesn't think that cutting off children's genitals is a good idea, or even refusing to use pronouns. Wrong. Calling for further violence is very different from the precedent some are using right now. We cannot allow ourselves as a society to accept calling for murder as a right. Sure, people can voice their disagreements with figures like Charlie Kirk or anyone in the public eye. It's disgusting after what just happened to him, but you cannot call for more killing after he's been killed. You cannot call for more violence in the wake of a political assassination. This is a no-brainer. I don't know who needs to hear or understand this, but every single employer's code of conduct or code of ethics would cover things like calling for murder publicly. Almost everybody, especially those working for government or corporations, have had some sort of social media clause included in their contracts. Employers have the right to make a decision for their private businesses as to whether someone has violated that clause, and so does the state or federal government. Calling for murder or violence would be a violation of your terms of employment. Furthermore, if you are someone in a position of authority, like a teacher, you clearly cannot be trusted to regulate your emotions, to regulate your behaviour, and you cannot be trusted with your judgment if you think it's appropriate to call for more violence in the wake of this tragedy. You are someone who's responsible for young, impressionable minds, and you shouldn't be. Society is weeding this out on its own, and this is exactly what should happen. We'll elaborate on this more in the next segment.